Think about the last time you introduced yourself in English.
Maybe it was at work. Maybe it was at a social event. Maybe it was the first day of a class or a meeting with someone new.
Now think about what you said. Did it feel natural? Did it sound like you? Or did it feel stiff, rushed, or too short?
Most people, even confident English speakers, find introductions surprisingly difficult.
Because an introduction is not just information. It's an invitation. You're not just telling someone your name. You're opening a door and saying, "Come in, let's talk."
And today, we're going to help you do exactly that.
I'm Maya.
And I'm James. Welcome back to the Maya and James podcast, where we help you practice real English through real conversations.
Today's episode is all about introductions. How to introduce yourself in English in a way that feels confident, sounds natural, and leaves a good impression.
We'll talk about why most introductions fall flat, what makes a great one, and we'll give you a simple, flexible structure you can use in any situation.
Plus vocabulary, phrasal verbs, shadowing, and speaking practice.
Let's get into it. Maya, I think the most common mistake people make when introducing themselves in English is that they only share facts.
Yes, they say their name, maybe their job, maybe where they're from, and then they stop. And the other person says, "Oh, nice." And then there's silence.
Exactly, because facts alone don't create connection. They create a list.
Right, and connection is what introductions are really for. You're not filling out a form, you're starting a relationship.
So what's the difference between a forgettable introduction and a memorable one?
I think it comes down to three things. The first is personality. The second is context. And the third is a hook.
Let's start with personality. What does that mean in practice?
It means letting something real come through in the way you speak. Your word choices, your energy, even a small moment of humor or warmth. When someone introduces themselves and they seem genuinely comfortable, that comfort is contagious.
And when someone introduces themselves in a very flat, robotic way, even if the words are correct, it's hard to feel connected to them.
Exactly. So personality is not about being loud or funny. It's about being present, showing up in your words, not just reciting them.
That's a really important distinction.
And the second thing is context. When you introduce yourself, give the other person something to respond to. Not just what you do, but why it matters to you, or what it connects to in that moment.
Can you give an example?
Of course. Compare these two introductions. First one, I'm Maya, I work in marketing. Second one, I'm Maya, I work in marketing, which is why events like this are actually really useful for me, because I get to hear what real people think, not just what the data says.
The second one is so much richer. You immediately want to ask a follow-up question.
Exactly. And that's the goal. A great introduction ends with an invisible invitation for the other person to respond.
And what about the third element, the hook?
A hook is one memorable detail. Something slightly unexpected, specific, or personal that makes you stand out from every other person the listener will meet that day.
Like what?
It could be something you're passionate about outside of work, a project you're currently excited about, a recent experience, something you're working on or working towards. It doesn't have to be dramatic, it just has to be real.
So instead of, I'm James, I'm a teacher, you might say, I'm James, I teach English, and I'm currently obsessed with why some people become fluent in 6 months, while others study for years and never quite get there.
Perfect. Now I'm interested. Now I want to talk to you, because you've shown me not just what you do, but what you think about, what drives you.
And that's what people remember. Not job titles, not where you grew up, the thing that lights you up when you talk about it.
So if you want to be remembered after an introduction, find that thing and make sure it's in your introduction somewhere.
Now, let's talk about structure, because I think a lot of learners know they want to introduce themselves better, but they don't know how to organize what they say.
Yes, and structure is really helpful here because it gives you a framework, so you're not starting from zero every time.
So what framework do you recommend?
I call it the 4-part introduction, and it works in most situations. Part 1, your name. Part 2, your role or your connection to the situation. Part 3, one genuine detail about yourself. And part 4, a question or invitation to the other person.
Let's walk through that with an example.
Sure. Imagine you're at a professional event. You meet someone and you say, "Hi, I'm Maya. I work in communications, mostly helping organizations tell their story clearly. I've been really interested lately in how language barriers affect that, which is actually part of why I came today. What about you? What brings you here?"
That's smooth, natural, and it ends with a question, so the other person immediately has a role to play.
Exactly. And notice there's nothing complicated in there. Simple vocabulary, short sentences, but it has personality, context, and a hook.
And it ends by showing interest in the other person, which is the single most important thing you can do in any introduction.
Yes, because the best introduction is not the one that makes people think, "Wow, you're impressive." It's the one that makes people feel, "You're interested in me." And that's far more memorable.
What about situations that feel more informal? A party, a social gathering, meeting a friend's friend?
The structure is the same, but the tone shifts. You can be looser, warmer, more casual.
Can you give an example?
Sure. "Hey, I'm Maya. I think we both know Priya. I'm actually terrible with these big group events, so I tend to find one person and talk to them for the entire evening. Consider yourself warned."
That's brilliant because it's self-aware and warm. It immediately puts the other person at ease.
And it's honest. People respond to honesty. You don't have to pretend to be more confident than you are. Sometimes sharing a small vulnerability in a lighthearted way is what actually creates connection.
That's a really powerful insight. A small, genuine moment of honesty can do more for a first impression than a perfectly polished introduction.
Exactly. Because it's human. And humans connect with humans, not with performances.
Now, I want to talk about something specific for English learners, and that's the language around talking about yourself.
Yes, because even if you have the structure, if you don't have the right phrases, it can still feel difficult.
So, what are some phrases that work really well in introductions?
Let's go through a few. Instead of just "I am a teacher," you can say "I work as a teacher," or "I teach at a school in London." It sounds more natural and gives more information.
And instead of "I am from Spain," you can say "I'm originally from Spain, but I've been living in London for a few years now." That immediately gives context and opens a conversation.
Instead of "I like cooking," you can say "I'm really into cooking at the moment, especially learning new techniques." That phrase, "I'm really into something," sounds very natural and shows current enthusiasm.
And a phrase I love for ending an introduction is, "I'd love to know more about what you do." It's warm, it's direct, and it immediately passes the conversation to the other person.
All of these phrases are small upgrades, but they make a significant difference to how natural and confident you sound.
One more thing I want to cover is how to introduce yourself when you're nervous.
Yes, because even with the best structure and the best phrases, nerves can still get in the way.
What helps?
Preparation is the biggest thing. Practice your introduction out loud before the situation arrives. Say it in the mirror, say it to yourself while walking. Record yourself and listen back.
So when the moment comes, your introduction is already familiar. It lives in your mouth, not just in your head.
Exactly. And the second thing is to slow down. When we're nervous, we tend to speed up, but slowing down makes you sound more confident, even if you don't feel it.
And it gives your brain time to find the words.
Yes, one deep breath, a steady pace, and the belief that you have something worth saying. Because you do.
Let's look at 4 vocabulary words from today.
The first word is impression. An impression is the feeling or image that someone or something creates in your mind. For example, she made a wonderful first impression at the interview. Impression.
The second word is contagious. If something is contagious, it spreads easily from one person to another. We use it for feelings too, not just illness. For example, his enthusiasm was contagious, and soon everyone in the room felt excited. Contagious.
The third word is vulnerability. Vulnerability is the quality of being open and honest about your feelings or weaknesses. For example, showing a small amount of vulnerability in a conversation can actually make you more likable. Vulnerability.
And the fourth word is framework.
A framework is a basic structure that you can build on or adapt. For example, having a simple framework for introductions made her feel much more prepared. Framework. Let's hear them one more time. Impression. Contagious.
Vulnerability. Framework.
And our 3 phrasal verbs for today.
The first is come across. To come across means to give a certain impression to others. For example, I wanted to come across as confident, but not arrogant.
The second is stand out. To stand out means to be noticeably different or better than others. For example, she stood out from everyone else at the event because of her warm and natural introduction.
And the third is open up. To open up means to become more willing to share or to begin a new topic or connection. For example, once he relaxed, he really opened up, and the conversation became much more interesting.
Come across, stand out, open up.
3 excellent phrasal verbs for talking about connection and communication.
Time for shadowing. Listen to each sentence once, then pause and repeat out loud. Match the rhythm and pace as closely as you can.
A great introduction ends with an invisible invitation for the other person to respond.
Pause and repeat.
His enthusiasm was contagious, and soon everyone in the room felt excited.
Pause and repeat.
I wanted to come across as confident, but not arrogant.
Pause and repeat.
She stood out from everyone else because of her warm and natural introduction.
Pause and repeat.
Having a simple framework for introductions made her feel much more prepared.
Last one. Pause and repeat.
Excellent work! The more natural these sentences feel in your mouth, the more natural your real introductions will sound.
Now, it's your turn.
Using the 4-part structure from today, introduce yourself out loud in English right now. Pause the video and take your time.
Remember, your name, your role or connection to the situation, one genuine detail, and a question or invitation.
Pause now and introduce yourself.
Here is an example.
Hi, I'm Maya. I work in communications, helping people tell their stories clearly in English. Lately, I've been really interested in how building a morning routine can actually improve your language learning. What about you? Are you working on anything exciting at the moment?
Natural, warm, specific, and it ends with genuine interest in the other person. That's the goal every time.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us today.
If this episode helped you, subscribe to the Maya and James podcast for new English conversations every Tuesday and Friday.
And tell us in the comments, how do you usually introduce yourself in English? Is there a part of it you find difficult?
We'd love to hear from you.
Until next time, keep practicing.
Keep going.
Take care.